So in this video, I'm going to do some numerical reasoning practice questions to show you how I approach these questions to sort of help you in your numerical reasoning questions, which are quite common in the degree apprenticeship application process. If you like this video, just leave a comment at the end or leave a like, and then I'll actually do a full assessment. So in this video, I'm going to do about 5 practice questions. But if you guys find this sort of video useful, what I'll do is I'll film a full video where I go through an entire assessment and do every single question, okay? So let's get into some of these practice questions where I'm going to show you how I would approach these numerical reasoning questions. Okay. So, looks like this question here is, there's basically 4 variables. So when you see something like this, you want to think of, essentially it's a diagram like this. Okay? And you'll understand what I mean in a second. And by the way, when I go to these questions, if you want to just pause it and do it yourself, by all means go ahead. So I'll actually do that now. I'll come to here, pause it. If you want to have a go at this question, go for it, and then I'll sort of explain how I would do this. Okay? So this is where essentially, when you look at this question, you'll be able to recognize it's one of these questions. It's where there's 2 sort of competing variables, okay? So the competing variables are Q1 and Q2. Okay, so you've got data for basically 2 different quarters of the year, Q1 and Q2. And then you also have data for East and West, okay? And basically for each of these, they have like a comparison thing. So there's going to be East things which are in Q1, East things in Q2. There's going to be West things which are in Q1, West things are in Q2. So there's basically 4 different types of information. So what we can do is draw a diagram like this, and it's got totals. You might have seen something like this during school where there's been 2 variables, and you basically add it all up in a total, and it should all add up like that. Okay, and then you can start inputting data into this and sort of work out what the answers are. Okay, so that's the first thing I would do. Forget about actually like putting your answer in for now and like changing this bar chart. Just focus on working out this table. Then you'll have all the data. Then go sort of put all the questions in. So total sales revenue was 120 million in Q1. Okay, so Q1 total sales revenue was 120. So I'd come to Q1 total 120. Okay, there we go. Total sales revenue in Q2 decreased by 10 million compared to quarter 1. Okay, boom. Quarter 2 decreased by 10 million, so this is going to be 110. Okay, so it's so easy when you just lay it out in a format like this, rather than just like staring at this information trying to work out what it says. When you present it in a table, it means by the end we're just going to have a completely filled out table which has got all the information. It's going to be so easy to draw a graph. Okay, sales revenue in the East was 78 million in quarter 1. 78 million in the East was quarter 1, so 78 East quarter 1. Now straight away we can now actually work out this West one here because we've presented it like this. This is a total. We know in total it's 120. In the East it's 78. Therefore this gap, the West for Q1, it must add up. So that plus that equals that. Therefore we know that this is going to be 42. Okay. Sales revenue in the West increased by 46 million from Q1 to Q2. Sales revenue in the West increased by 46 million. Okay, so we know that the increase here is going to be 46. So it's going to be 42 plus 46. This one here is going to be 88. Okay, and then now we can just fill in the rest of the table. So we've used that information. Let's just fill in the rest of the table. So 88 to 110, we know that this is going to be 22. And therefore, we know in the East that this one here is going to be 100. In the East, and this one here is going to be 130, I want to say, and that makes sense because now these 2 add up. Okay, so we can just check that they add up on both ends. This is 230 here, this is 230 here, they both add up. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now we've got that full table. Now we can look to the graph. Okay, so it's basically asking for the sales revenue by quarter and the percentages in the East and West. Okay, so if we look at by quarter first of all, we know by quarter it's got a total 120 and then 110. So that's 120, so that's good already. So we need to come to 110 and change this. So it looks like there's some sort of tutorial here. What is this? 110. Can we increase this to 110? Yep, there we go. Let's come to 110. 9, 10. Okay, and then we need to work out percentages now, because you'll notice it's not asking for the absolute values in the East and West, like 78 million and 42 million. It's asking for percentages. This way you just need to do percentages. So it's 78 over 120 times 100. Okay, percentages are very common in these sorts of questions. You need to know how to answer them. So 78 over 120 times 100 is 65. So let me just do this in a different color pen. Okay, that's a bad pen. Yeah, so this one's going to be 65%, and then that means you know straight away this one's going to be 35. And then this one obviously is going to be 22 over 110, because we're looking at the percentage of this total one here, times 100 equals 20%. So we then know that this one here is going to be 80% here. And then you can also check it. So I've only done 2 calculations on this one and this one. You don't have to do calculations for here because you can sort of see it straight away. But then I would just double check. I'd do 42 over 120, just check that it's 35. I'd do 88 over 110, just check that it's 80. Okay, so we can come to Q1. We know Q1 east is 65. So Q1 east is blue. This is 65. All these video games coming in handy where you have to like spam the button as fast as you can. And then Q2 is 20 down here. Oh, okay, I've now just broken my computer because I was clicking. Okay, so my whole recording just crashed, so I have no idea if I've got the recording of what I've just done, but let's just go with it. So you'd put your answers in here from this calculation that we've done, and then there we would go, and we could go on to the next question. So let's see if I've got this right or I'm chatting a load of rubbish and you guys shouldn't listen to me. Answered it right. Cool. Let's go. So moving on to the next question. This is obviously just something to do with expenses. Let me zoom in a bit. If you want to have a go at this question now, feel free to pause the video, see what you get, and then you can listen to my walkthrough afterwards to explain how I would come to this one. Okay, so I look at this. Employee breakfast, you're allowed $12 per person. They've done 2 people for $26, which means their average one was $13 per person, so no, that's going to be not approved. Is that how it works? How do I click it? I'm not sure exactly how I click this thing, to be honest. Not approved. I'll get that out later. But the first guy, he's not approved because his breakfast was too much, but based on these rules up here. Right. Brianna, she was about $10 per breakfast, which meets that one. Oh, and there's employee and client, so that'll be something to look at in future. This is an employee thing, so $10, fair enough. Employee lunch, $15. She averaged less than $15 because basically 15 times 3 would be 45. That's her limit. In terms of dinner for employees, hers is 28. For 3 people, that limit would go to 54, I want to say. That's got to be wrong. 84. That's what it is, 84. So, yep, she's beneath that. So, Brianna is approved. Oh, it's a drag thing. I was going to say, I was like, how do you even do these? So Andrew is not approved. See you later, big man. Brianna is approved because all of hers seem decent. And then Carlos, client breakfast, 6. So yeah, basically an easy way of doing this is actually just timesing it by the values and seeing the maximum. Having a look at this and being like, oh, so the average of 119 divided by 6. That's quite a difficult calculation to do. So what I just do is I just do an easy calculation. 6 times 20 is 120. That's under 120, so you're approved in terms of breakfast. That's a lot easier. Again, for this one, you could do 137 divided by 5 to find out the average, but that's a hard calculation to do. This one, you can just do it in your head. Lunch, 5 times 30 is 150, so yep, you're good on that one. Now, this is where it's asking you to do a bit here. Ooh, interesting. 257. Do those 2 numbers add up? They must do, right? Yeah, they do add up. Okay, she didn't have dinner. I was just trying to see if they were trying to do it like another thing for here, but no, they didn't have dinner. So yeah, you're approved on that one. Boom. Answered the question correctly. Please continue. Thank you very much. Right, so let me do this question. If you want to pause this video, have a go at this question. I'll then do my breakdown on this one. So Cheryl invested $1,000 on Monday. Okay. Cool. There we go. $1,000. After each day, the stock increased 1% of its original value. Okay, cool. This sounds really easy. So let's come here. Monday, okay, that's what it was. Then it increased by 1%. Okay, so that means you want to do Monday. To work out Tuesday, you can do Monday times 1.01. Okay, that's how you do it as 1%. So if we do 1,000 times 1.01, times 1.01, it'll be 1,010. But I'm just putting my calculator because it could be a weird number. But yeah, 1,010 is going to be on Tuesday. So that'll be in the middle there, 1,010. Now, when you're doing these, you want to make sure you just keep it in your calculator. So don't like reset your calculator and then do it again. Because say you were working with some really weird numbers where you're going to get a whole bunch of decimal points. If you had to reset your calculator, you're going to lose accuracy. Whereas if you just sort of keep it in your calculator and you literally just press times again, and then it might say something like, let me see if I can show you this. It's going to show something like answer, where is it? Answer times whatever. this basically means it's going to calculate my exact answer and just use the exact one. So it means if there's loads of weird decimals, I don't have to like type them all in. It's going to keep it. So I'd literally just go from the previous answer and just go previous answer, and I'm going to do times 1.01. And then she was charged an administrative fee of $10, and this means you need to minus 10. Okay, don't add 10 because it's 10 that she's being charged. It's being removed from my account. So I would do that, and this would equal for Wednesday. Answer times 1.01 minus 10 equals 10110.1. Okay, and this is where it's starting getting into like the weird sort of number. So 10110.1. It looks like, yeah, it's basically going in accuracy of 5, so I'll just round it to 10110. That's the closest we can get here. Then moving on to the next day, I just take this answer and I do times 1.01 times 1.01, and that is 1020.2. There we go. So 1020. Thought my thing was going to crash again. 1020, and then what I do is do that and just times it by 1.01. Okay, and that equals times 1.01, 1030. And actually, if I was doing this in a real thing, I wouldn't calculate these and then go back to the graph each time. Like calculate one, go back to the graph, calculate one, go back to the graph. No, I'd actually just calculate them all and then just go back to the graph because it's just more efficient rather than going between each one. So 110, 120, and then 1030. 30 is there. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So pie chart question. If you want to pause this video and have a go now, then feel free to go for it. Okay, so this is where we need to just write down all this data. If you try and look at this without writing it down and just try and sort of do it organically off the top of your head, you might struggle a bit. So let's just write everything down. Okay, so we got phone, email, web chat, social media, and then we got total. Okay, so then just write it like this. So let's go through basically go through all the information step by step. 500 customers contacted a company today. Boom. So the total is going to be 500. Nice one. Phone was 250. So you want to start with the absolute values. If you started with 4 times social media, that doesn't help you because you don't know what social media is. If you started with email, 50% of phone, that doesn't help because you don't know what phone is. So you want to start with the absolute one. The absolute one is phone. There are 250 customers. Boom. Phone 250. Okay, then you can start going through the data. So email was 50% of phone, so we know email is going to be 125. Okay, so now we've got to do web chat and social media. So web chat is 4 times social media doesn't tell us. Okay, so at the moment we can't actually work it out. So here's what we need to do. We need to combine these and work out what they would be if they were combined. The way we do that is basically work out what's this gap here. So we're going to do 500 minus 125 minus 250 gives you 125. Now you can probably see that in your head if you looked at it, but like, I'm just showing you how you do it if it was like some random numbers you need to calculate it. So you know this is 125 for both of these now, agreed? Then you need to look at the split. So web chat is 4 times social media. So essentially that's like the sort of ratio we can do here. Web chat to social media is a 4-to-1 ratio, and that means 4-to-1 means there's 5 different parts essentially. So what you'll do is you divide 125 by 5, so 1 part equals 25. Okay, and that means we can just come and look at this ratio. The web chat is 4 times 25, so this is going to be 100. And then this one's just 1 part, so it's 25, okay? And then you can just come back, now that we've done this sort of parts thing here, you can just come and check it. Web chat is 4 times social media, let me just check that. 4 times 25 is 100, yep, that's correct. Come through, add these up, 250, 375, 475, 500, yep, they all add up, I checked it, I'm happy. Okay, and so that's how you do it. And then you'd come here and move the pie chart, okay? But we'd move the pie chart, okay? So just focus on doing the data first and then come to it. So phone is 250, and it looks like with the pie chart we need to do these into percentages. So boom, the way you do it into percentage is you just do 250 over 500 times 100, or 125 over 500 times 100. These are pretty simple numbers, so you'll probably be able to work out in your head. So that one's 50%, that one is 25%, this one is 20%, that one is going to be 5%, and then we can just add up just to make sure that they all add up to 100%. So 50, 75, 95, 100, yep, they all add up to 100, I'm done. It's those sort of little checks where you do an extra calculation just to check all your numbers add up to 100, make sure they all add up to 500, that you can just make sure you're on the right track here. So phone, and make sure you get the colours right here. Phone is blue, so that's going to be 50%. So what? Selecting node to continue. Oh, okay. 50, oh. Technology is a bit dodgy. 50%. Oh, and I just noticed something here as well. In this question, social media is fixed at 5%. So that would have actually helped you there, because you could have straight away said that social media was at 5%, because it was fixed there. So you wouldn't have had to sort of do this parts thing. You could literally just do 5% of 500, which is 25 times by 4 web chat. Okay, so that's why it's useful to also look at all the information as well, so you could be missing something. So that's something that I just missed doing that, but you could have seen that if you were doing that there. And then okay, I've done this a bad way, I think. Yeah, I've done this a bad way. So red is web chat. Web chat is 20%. So let's come back to this. Move this to 20%, and then we've got to move this back to 50%. 50%, yep, and then let's just check that's 25. Yep, that's 25. Boom. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Thank you. Right, again, pause the video now and give this a go. Right. Product sales profit. So, okay, so 10 products. Wait, what? Does that mean 10,500? Am I bugging? 10,500 at $1.60 each. Okay, so this is super easy. You basically just times everything together, essentially, and write it down like this. So the first one is going to be 10,500 times 160. So that's going to be 16,800 for the first one. Then B is going to be 5,000 times 3, which is going to be 15,000. Like, some of these you can save time just by doing it in your head. A lot of these sort of numerical questions, they are like timed. You want to do it as quickly as possible. You want to make sure you're still accurate, so obviously don't rush anything. But where you can, if you can do these shortcuts, it's going to make it a lot easier. So 6,500 times 250 is 16,250. This one here is actually not going to help if I leave it like that. So that, I believe that was 800 if I'm not mistaken. So 9,500 times 1.75, 16,625, 25. And then this one, 8,500 times 250, 21,250, 1,250, 11,000, 11,000 times 150, 16,500. Okay, so then you can look at this. So this is A, B, C, D, E, F. And we know that in order, what we're going from 1 highest and 6 lowest. So starting at the highest will be E. Cross that off. Then it's going to be A. EA Sports. It's in a game. EA. EAD. F. C. B. And let me just double check that. E. A. Yep. D. Yep. F. Yep. C. Yep. B. Okay, so EADFCB. EADFCB. E. E. A. D. F. C. B. Let me just check that. EADFCB. 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 Yep, that works. Okay, boom. There we go. Thank you. I've completed that correctly. Okay. So there were 5 practice questions there on numerical assessments. Essentially, they're not too difficult, okay? At the end of the day, in these sorts of questions, you're not going to be given some A-level algebra, some geometry, something crazy like that. It's always just sort of simple multiplications, additions, minus, division, maybe some ratios, maybe some percentages, maybe some bar charts, maybe some pie charts, maybe some graphs. That's essentially what it is. So as long as you sort of do these practice questions, you're used to the common questions, you know how to calculate a percentage difference, you know how to read from a bar chart, you know how to read from a pie chart, you know how to do ratios, you know how to do that sort of first question where there's 2 different variables. You put it into that sort of like square diagram. I'm talking about this one here. Make sure you can do this sort of thing. Once you've done that, then hopefully that should help with your numerical questions. So I hope this video has been valuable. If you have found this video valuable, then just leave a comment or leave a like or something like that. Let me know that you like these types of videos. And then what I can do is I can film and release a video going through like a full practice test with like 10 more questions that are going to help with your numerical reasoning questions. Okay, so if you like this video, just leave a like down below and I'll film another one. See you in a bit. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in a bit.